unpeel it. Can't even fit my I can't fit the whole thing in frame. Open!
I will open it for you. Yes.
See, Daddy's got it. I'm just kidding. Okay, now I just have to wait for it to dry. Big painting. Cody, how do you feel about this giant painting?
I'm scared.
So I divided the canvas into smaller pieces just so I can like balance out my composition, because it's so big that I don't know how I'm actually going to like keep the image straight when I sketch it, if that makes sense. Like compositionally, I'm like worried about like kind of skewing the image while I sketch it, because it's just so big. So I like kind of half-assed a grid here, just to keep a general idea of straight. And like, I'm also gonna do the rule of thirds, because I don't think I even explained what this is. It's a I'm gonna put the reference photo here. It is Mitre Peak in New Zealand. You might be familiar with it from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I was commissioned to do a giant painting of that. So I am sketching it out right now, but it's like so big. So we're gonna try this. Yeah. Okay, so first I went in with some charcoal, just sketching out the basic lines, and I started with some rocks because I knew I wanted rocks and grass. So, I mean, this is not pretty drawing. I'm not trying to do pretty drawing. I'm trying to just get my basic shapes where I want them so I can actually visualize what I'm doing when I paint this, because I cannot freehand this motherfucker. This is so freaking big. I have never done a painting this large. I found it so intimidating, and I was genuinely a little scared that it was not going to turn out good just because it was so big, and I didn't know if I was going to have enough paint. There was a lot of issues that I was afraid to face, but I got through it. I powered through, and it started with drawing rocks and then drawing some bigger rocks that are mountains. So I drew the mountains, and I actually ended up drawing them too big, if you can tell. They're just slightly too big. But I ended up fixing that later. But I was drawing these little mountains and sketching with my little willow charcoal, feeling like a real artist, a real professional, which I still can't believe that I'm a real professional. I can't believe that I know what I'm doing. It doesn't look like I know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. And that is weird. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but I do. And it's weird that I'm at this point in my life where I'm selling $4,000 5-foot commissions, and I'm making a living off of my art, and that's kind of terrifying and absolutely awesome at the same time. So yeah, I was very intimidated by this piece. I felt like it kind of was like a make or break my career moment. But I do believe that I really seized the day with it. This sketch was abysmal. I was not looking for anything good. I was literally just sketching out even shapes, not even shadows. I just put shapes for where the shadows are, because I don't know. I don't like drawing on my canvases. I hate drawing on canvas. The texture is fucking awful. I use charcoal because it sticks to the canvas easier, but I really don't like drawing on canvas. So I try to minimize how much drawing I do on canvas. I kind of like half-ass it most of the time, if I can actually get away with it. Portraits are different. You kind of have to sketch good. But yeah, this is the sketch. I sent it to the client who loved it, and she was like, yeah, paint it. So, underpainting is so important. I don't think beginners realize this. I didn't realize this for a long time, but underpainting with a bright, vibrant color will help your painting look more vibrant and help it look more realistic because there's more layers of color. And layers are so fucking important in painting. You need to use as many layers as possible, is what I've learned. You know, base 3, but like honestly, you need at least 5 to get any kind of real form going. So I underpaint with bright pink or bright orange. I chose an orange because I am doing like a blue painting, so the opposite color really helps the blue pop. It also helps get rid of that anxiety about, painting on a clean canvas. I am back after about a week break because I took my dog for a walk, slipped on a pine cone, fell on my left hip, and injured myself and gave myself hip bursitis, which I don't know if any of you have dealt with before, but when you have EDS, degenerative disc disease, and hip bursitis, you're in excruciating pain for about a week, at least. So now I'm starting to feel a little better, still have to not bend my hip very much and be very careful on it, but I want to get back to priming this thing. I still have a couple corners to prime, but it should be just a very quick thing, getting the rest of it primed, and then I can start blocking out the colors. So we're going to start with blue sky, green mountains, kind of like a greenish brown lake with some plant life and rocks. So pretty simple setup. It's pretty simple landscape imagery. There's not like a huge amount of detail in the reference images, so I'm going to have to make up a lot of detail for like the trees and like the lighting and stuff. But I definitely want to have it have like some kind of like magicalness to it, since it is New Zealand, and I find that place to be magical. Lord of the Rings, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. Going to fix this corner and then also that corner over there. That needs some work. And then I also have this that I am working on. I have some digital portraits that I'm working on. Not portraits, landscapes, and a portrait. Oh god, I have overbooked myself. So I'm doing that. I'm doing also stuff to keep myself busy while I'm recovering from my injury, like crocheting a sweater. So yeah, been very busy. Let's take a little cat break and get on to it. My cat likes to hang out with me while I paint. Are you having a happy time, Nuggy? Yeah, you love the sunlight. You love the sun. Okay, I finally got around to blocking out the sky with blue, and when I say that I used a lot of acrylic paint, I mean I used a fuck ton, truckload, butt fuck ton of paint. I am grateful that I was using acrylic because oil would have been way too expensive. But yeah, that is blocking the sky. Next on to the clouds. Okay, cloud time. This is the hard part, deciding where to put clouds. That's not the only hard part. Let's be real, come on. This entire thing is ridiculous. Huge. What am I doing with my Okay, now it's time for my favorite part, which is the clouds. I absolutely love painting clouds. Sometimes they really frustrate me because it takes a lot of layers to get them where you want them to be, and I feel like it's like unnatural. You think clouds are white, so you just put white on blue, and it does not look right. It looks wrong. So, you have to actually work up from you put down some white, you get your basic shape, and then you work up the color from a dark color because clouds actually have a lot of color. And that's something that I've learned by painting a lot of them. Um, Depends on the lighting and everything, but they reflect all the light around it and all the color around it. So it's really important to get your white highlights the correct color. I used a blue tinted white, and then I used a yellow tinted white for the very highlight of the cloud to kind of give it that ambiance of sunlight. And that is what makes that cloud really pop against that blue gray. So that's something that I've learned over the years of painting clouds. And it's something that I really like how I like my clouds. I don't know. Some people say they're not very realistic, but I think they're really fun to make kind of vibrant and kind of like almost exaggerate the cloudiness of the clouds. I don't know. I like exaggerating things. I'm dramatic. So, yeah, I kind of dramatized the colors of the clouds and really scrumbled them in there. That's what I call, twisting the brush around like that. I scrungle it. And it's important to scrungle to blend properly, especially with clouds. And these clouds took a fat minute. I mean, I remember painting these clouds for a couple of days, maybe even a week. They were taking me a while. I had to wait for all the layers to dry and then build up and build up and build up and build up. And I mean, I think it was 6 or 7 layers of paint that I ended up putting on those clouds just to make sure that they really popped because I wanted them to be really intense. To balance out the heaviness of the bottom of the painting. It's like a compositional thing. You want to make sure your painting has a lot of balance. And there are the clouds. I might add a little more here, but I'm not quite sure yet because it also gets cut off by the mountain right here, so I think it might look good to leave it how it is. Yeah, I just have to clean up the mountain edges. And that's the clouds. Time to mix another metric fuck ton of paint. So I had to make some green for these mountains, and it had to be a dark green to get those shadows in there. And then work it up to light. But I made it a little too dark, which was my mistake, but I didn't want to fix it right away. So I ended up just working my way up, which made it take like 10 times longer. But I didn't want to remix my green because I had already made so much and I didn't want to use that much yellow. I was running low on yellow. I had to pick some more up. It was a whole thing. Okay. It works out in the end. So just trust the process. There's some really dark green mountains. My client didn't even think they were green because my camera couldn't pick up how dark the green was once it dried. Trust me, it looks good when it's done. I ended up using blue to make the dark points, the shadows on the mountains. And then I ended up actually using just like a bunch of colors on the mountains, really just kind of like making those rocks stand out, making it a very rocky mountain, which I had a lot of fun with the mountains. I love painting mountains. I love painting rocks, and I just fucking love painting. I mean, watching myself paint this is actually giving me joy and making me relax, which is nice because I have anxiety, especially at night, which it's like 2 a.m. So that's why I'm editing this like a month after I finished the painting. Well, actually, it's been like 2 weeks, but whatever, you know? Anyway, you can see me working up these trees from a very dark green to an almost yellow point for the trees that are in sunlight. So that took a lot of yellow. That took a lot of green. That took a lot of effort. And a lot of fucking layers. And I had to paint the sides because these sides on this painting are like 1.5 inches thick. So you have to paint the sides. You can't just get away with not doing that. So, I mean, I feel like when I took this footage, the footage was like 1.5 hours long, and I had to condense it into a couple of like 30 seconds to a minute. So this is like a minute long of just me painting one hill of trees, and I had to do 3 of these hills like this, working my way up from that dark green and then adding back in some dark green that had more of a blue tint in order to, you know, play with the shadows and make it look more realistic. And that was a lot of fun, but it was also very frustrating. And I remember being so sick of painting trees by the end of this painting. I was like, I don't want to see another tree. If I see a piece of broccoli on my dinner plate tonight, I'm going to throw hands. But, you know, I made it through. This is the real-time footage of what it looked like to paint those goddamn fucking trees. Yeah, and then I, of course, wanted to torture myself. So I went in and used the highlights as a Posca marker because it was the perfect shade of yellow. And I ended up using all of my Posca marker. So I had to buy a whole nother set because they were out of the individual yellow ochre Posca markers, which just is the bane of my existence. Thank you, Michaels. But yeah, ended up scribbling on the water just to give it some texture. I think having random scribble marks kind of gives your painting a little oomph. I don't know. I like it. I don't know if you like it. If you don't, that's your thing. I don't care. It's my painting, you know? My client liked it. I liked it. Everybody's happy that paid for it, so that's all that matters. And I ended up putting a lot more details into the greenery that's like growing off the side of the mountain. I wanted a lot of detail in those little crevices. It was something that, like, I don't know, mountains are just majestical, and I wanted to have that like intense majestical feeling throughout the painting because it's such a beautiful place, and I really needed to capture that essence. So I really put in a lot of detail to the mountain parts, which I think actually really accentuates the beauty and the intensity of the place that the painting is centered around. And again, I mean, it was 1,000 years of using this poor Posca marker till its end. And I mean, it was a new one, so I used that thing up. I love Posca markers. They make things a lot easier, especially when it comes to little details. You can get fine line Posca markers, which I need to invest in, but that is an investment. They aren't cheap markers. So as you can see, these trees, man. I mean, how long can you even talk about trees? What can I even say about this? It's just putting dots on and smudging them in to make them look like leaves. Over and over and over and over again. For days at a time. Layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. You know what? I'm proud of me for doing that. That looks good. As you can see, I'm exhausted. I don't ever want to see another tree again. I needed a break after that, obviously. Take a toke with me if you want. But, Jesus fucking Christ, dissociation break. You can see I'm just dead. But yeah, it was time to move on to the water. Thank fucking God. I love painting water. So fun. So easy in comparison to those godforsaken fucking trees. So I went in with some green to make the shadows because the lake had this very green tone, and then I wanted it to have that like magical feel, so I used some teal. I went and bought a special teal just for this painting too, and I think it turned out nice. I liked the pigment of it. I like smearing it with my fingers. I don't know. Painting is a very like tactile experience for me. I love feeling paint on my hands. I love the feeling of getting my hands dirty with art supplies and moving my arms around on the canvas, and it's almost like a dance to me that ends up looking pretty on paper. Now this is my favorite part for water. I do this all the time. This is probably just a me thing, but I use this iridescent medium just by itself as the water reflective part. Sometimes I'll add color, but a lot of the time I'll just go straight on because it just looks so pretty, and it's glittery and sparkly and shiny, and it makes the water look like it's iridescent. And I don't know, it really adds to the magicalness, I guess, and that's really what I was going for. It took a long time to get like all those little tiny strokes in because there's no way to do big ones, but as you can see, I just took my time filling in the water with all these little waves and hitting my pen, of course, to get through it. But yeah, the iridescent medium is really fun to play with. I also added white into some of it to make it like stand out just a little bit more later, which I didn't end up getting on camera, but you'll see in the final piece that there's like bits of white, and I actually added a building medium. What was it? It was I can't remember what it's called, but it's a medium that you can add to your acrylic to make it thicker, so it can actually like build on canvas. So I did that to make my strokes really thick and make it have a lot more texture. And I did that with the grass as well. The grass was really fun to paint with a little fan brush. I just went ham. That was the fastest part. It was so fast. It was just like boom, 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 done. Which I was thankful for because I was kind of ready to be done with this painting by now. I was kind of over it. I just wanted it to be finished. I wanted to move on to my other paintings. But of course, I had to add detail to the grass, which... Oh my god, detail. Rock time. Finally, gosh. Oh my gosh, rocks. So these rocks were fun. I made them underwater in the end. That one doesn't look like it's underwater yet, but it will. It will eventually. Some of these rocks are standing out of the water. Some of them are underwater, and I ended up just putting the iridescent medium over them to make them look more underwater. Because I don't know really what I'm doing with that. I don't really paint underwater rocks. That's not really my thing. I should probably try to do that more and learn. But yeah, it's my rock. He's a little guy. He's just a friend. And then I painted like 30 more of them. So yeah. That's my painting experience with this giant commission. I also put some mud down right at the edge. You can't really see it, but like the bottom was fun to like just smear a bunch of color into to kind of make it look like dirt, wet dirt. So that was fun. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling. I hope this is entertaining. I really don't know how to make like a good art video. I don't know what people want to listen to when they watch an art vlog. I don't know if people are even going to watch this, but if you did watch this, I'm very appreciative of you appreciating my work and watching me and my process and trying to understand it, which, that's pretty cool, You're a pretty cool dude for that. More rocks. See, I told you there's mud and rocks. Look at that. It's so exciting. Gotta blend that. Yes, blend it. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, now you're just being annoying. I know, but, you know, that's just me. Well, yeah, that's just rocks. Kind of messed it up, but I'll fix it. Don't worry. Okay, adding my little signature. I just do a DC, which is my initials, and then the year, and then sometimes I'll add my signature. But that's special. That's for special occasions. This is my painting. She's 5 by 4 feet, and I'm pretty proud of her. My cat seems to like her. The client that commissioned me is really happy with it. So yeah, if you guys are interested in any of my commissions or anything about me, go to my card, and don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff. Bye.